Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Q&A show. It's Jason Avant here. I'm here with my boy, my friend, and podcast mate, Quentin Michael. Say what's up to the people, Q Mike.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Excited for us to get started. Great new developments. Let's have some fun today, man.
Right. We're always excited to be back on the Q&A podcast. We'd like to shout out Jeff and Adam for allowing us on Inside the Birds platform. Make sure you guys check us out every Wednesday. The show drops at 6 a.m. On Inside the Birds platform, YouTube. We also have Amazon Music and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Whatever it may be, check us out. This is the Q&A show. There's a lot of exciting news that happened this past week. Everyone's talking about DeVonta Smith and the Eagles draft. Overall, there was some buildup leading to the draft because, to be honest, our draft pick situation hadn't been the best. Our drafts haven't been the best in the last 10 years or so. And that's just to be honest. And so we were very, very excited to get the draft off started right with DeVonta Smith. Q, how do you feel that Howie and the front office did when it came to this draft?
Man, let me go back to Thursday night. So first of all, I think the entire draft was great. I mean, a couple little dips here and there, but just overall, I think it was a great experience. And I cannot tell you, me and my son, we were watching the draft, and it was almost like when Goodell walks up to the podium, it was like almost like dead silent, like, okay, what's going to happen? Like, because you never know, like, we know what we wanted, right? But it was like, come on, please, God, just make the right choice. And as soon as he said DeVonta Smith, me and my son and my buddy Tim were over, we were just going crazy. Yes, finally. Like, finally. And you know, it's just crazy that, it was crazy that I felt like almost breathless, like, okay, is it possible that we could do something else here? Like, are we going to draft a quarterback or something? Like, no, it's so easy. So I was so happy, man. It was a good draft. And to me personally, since I can't stand the Giants, it was a little bitter. It was a little bit extra for me.
Got a little reward there, right?
I got a little reward.
Icing on top.
Just jumping right in front of them Giants fans. I want to taste their tears right now, right? I'm like, you guys thought you had it. Nah.
The game inside the game. There's been so many memes and social media posts of Giants fans that are like kicking stuff, breaking TVs when they saw that the Cowboys traded the pick with the Eagles. Like, yo, what is going on? How are you guys working together against us in this moment? They had to feel like, you can't feel betrayed because it's the enemy, right? But, it was definitely weird and bizarre. I never thought that Jerry would make a pick with Howie right there. That was great.
It was crazy, right?
And we knew that they were going to take him, right? So that was awesome. But let's talk about this. Everyone in Philadelphia is on eggshells because we've done some of the stupidest stuff in the draft, right? In the past couple of years, we've done some dumb things. So going up, I was really nervous because the pick before, I'm like, don't take Surtain. And they took him, right? Yeah. So I'm like, dude, I was dejected. Like at that moment, I have to be honest with you. Like I was in a space where it's like, but to hear DeVonta Smith come off, it let me know that Howie and his staff they had a value on their board. Yep. Of the players that they wanted. And we actually talked about that last week. What happens in a scenario where the corners that you want or the top two playmakers are gone, which were Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Horn and Surtain. Where do you go from here? The only place that you could go was DeVonta Smith.
Yes.
And so I'm glad the Eagles did the normal thing, which is just stick to the program. Don't get overly excited. Don't try to be the GM of the year and just do your job. And I felt that Howie did a good job, especially with the first pick. The second pick can be debated, but I think it's still a very, very good pick. But I thought that they stuck with the program. And then on third pick, we'll discuss that.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I think like I agree with you 100%. You never know. And I do think that sticking to the board was the plan. And I do think me personally, I love the Landon Dickerson pick. Just now, I know he's got the injury history, and it's a legitimate history. I think he's had two ACLs and a broken ankle surgery, so it's legitimate. But the guy is phenomenal. Like, I started to kind of watch some tape of him before the draft, and I actually thought that he would be available later, just because of the injuries. Yeah. But I'm okay with the pick. He's a phenomenal guy, 330 pounds. From everything we've been hearing about him, he's great in the locker room. I watched some tape. Blocking scheme wise, he can make every block. He can play all up and down the line. He can move well. So I think it's going to be, obviously we get him with the right training staff and make sure he stays healthy and takes care of his body, and it could be something. Yeah, it could be something, a nice little deal.
So before you get to Landon Dickerson completely, I'm going to talk about him, but I can't skip over Devontae Smith being a receiver, right? Because everyone wants to hear about, our take on him. And me personally, I love the kid. I'm concerned about his weight. But before I get into his weight, let's talk about the receiver. This kid has made it work for so long that I can't doubt him the way everyone else is doubting him. Just think about this. In his receiver room was Henry Ruggs, the third, was Jerry Jeudy, first rounder, both those guys first rounder, Jaylen Waddle, first rounder, right? There's first rounder after first rounder, and there's receiver after all these NFL talent. And he was the best one out of all of them. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about the Heisman Trophy year where he had, his, 4,000-yard career and he ended up with, career 47 touchdowns and, or, 23 or 24 touchdowns this past season, like 24 touchdowns this past season on a 16-yard act. Like, it's bananas, right? He's going down as the best receiver, maybe the best receiver in Alabama history.
Yeah.
That's over Julio. That's over Calvin Ridley. That's over a bunch of guys that have played there, right? So let's not underestimate how much he was able to achieve. And based on that record and based on who was around him, based on who he is going against, the guy that was picked before him was his teammate. He had to go against him every day in practice, being the number one receiver. So most people may not know this, but the number one receiver and the number one corner go against each other every day in one-on-ones. They see each other the most. They know each other's moves. So you're being sharpened by a guy like that each and every day. And last year was Trayvon Diggs. And the year before that was somebody else, right? So this kid stepped on the scene with a game-winning touchdown with only 8 catches that entire year in a national championship game as a freshman. Right. So he was balling, come back the next year with 6 touchdowns. The next year he has 18 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? Or I said 18, 14 touchdowns as a junior with Henry Ruggs on your team, with Jerry Jeudy on your team. 5 touchdowns in one game. This kid makes it work. So with that being said, like, I'm concerned about his weight, but I just got a feeling that this kid knows how to maneuver with his ability and understands how to get open.
Yeah.
Some people have a knack for it. Some people are comparing him to AI and all of this stuff. Time will tell about that, but I'm not doubting this kid out. And I think it's an educated guess for me to say, you know what? For this particular kid, his size won't matter. I read some crazy stat the other day. It's been like in the past, I want to say 50 years or so, it's only been like one 1,000-yard receiver that's been under 170 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to bet on anybody, I'm betting on that kid based on all the stuff I just told you. That's why I believe in this kid. Now, how the Eagles are going to use them, we'll discuss that later.
Yeah, and that's one of the that's one of the things that we've kind of talked about in the past that I struggle with. Okay, like on the one hand, with the numbers and what am I blanking on right now?
Yeah. So you just numbers, stats. What are you talking about?
Statistics, the analysts,
the analytics.
You know, analytics. There we go. That word. See, that word just drives me crazy. But anyway, so like the analytics of looking at, okay, so breaking it down to his weight. So when you look at his weight, I understand what the stats say, but then when you put the tape on, what does that say? And so like, that's what I think I always struggle against. And I always am a person that if I look at the tape and I can see that it translates to the next level or translate to the game or translates here, there, whatever, I believe in what I see more than anything else. So what I've seen, yes, he is like, and weight wise, maybe, you know, he can put on a few more pounds. I doubt he's going to put on more than maybe 10 pounds at the most in his entire career, at the most. But the guy is just a phenomenal player. He goes up and gets the ball. He adjusts. He runs very good routes. I do think it'll become an issue if he's catching a lot of screens. Like, I don't think throwing rocket screens and screens to him where you can get hit 24/7. I don't think that's the way to go with him. But let's put him outside. Let's move him around. Let's get him in some crack splits. Let's get him doing some crossing routes and some dig routes, and just be creative with him. Like, he's a player that you can be creative with him. You can, you know, find out ways for him to get open. And yes, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's a guy that you're as a defensive player, as a defensive coordinator, as a defensive secondary guy, safety, you're going to have to know where he's at on every single play. And that right there matters more than anything else. So I'm pulling for the kid. I hope he does well.
It's a tough crowd. He has to know that, right?
Yeah.
This is a tough crowd. And with that being said, Q, when it comes to DeVonta Smith, people are comparing him to, you know, it's a different sport, but Allen Iverson being small, and they also compared him to Deshaun Jackson. Now, I'm going to let everybody know he's not as fast as Deshaun Jackson. Mm-hmm. However, he's a builder. Now, and a builder is special, ladies and gentlemen. When I say special, look at me in the face. They are special. It's very, very hard to be a builder when it comes to this sport, because we do such short sprints, right? 100 yards or 50 yards or quick bursts, and we taught to be explosive, right? You only have to run, you know, for 4 seconds, 3, 4, 5 seconds at the most. So a lot of guys doesn't have the stamina for it, but this kid gets faster as he goes. So I would be more inclined to figure out what he runs in the 60, what he runs in the 80 or the 100, right? Because that's the true tell for him. He reminds me of a player named Ted Ginn.
Yes.
That's who he reminds me of. He reminds me because Ted Ginn just keeps building, and you can't ever catch him. I don't care if the dude runs a 4.2, Ted Ginn runs a 4.4 on paper, but that's not including the 60 and the 80 and 100. And that's the type of speed that DeVonta Smith has. And Deshaun was 0 to 100 is really fast, you know, and he can sustain his speed and he can run as fast as anybody. But DeVonta Smith in a race for 100 yards will give Deshaun Jackson hell. That's just true, right? And may beat him. And so, but how often do you need that long speed going down the field? Not in every situation, but that's something that I want to tell the fans about in comparison to Deshaun Jackson. Now let's move on to the second round pick, unless you have something to come back for that. But we can move on to that second round pick. And you gave a brief, synopsis of Landon Dickerson. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Eagles type of a pick. Now, I'm not trying to be negative or condescending. Well, I won't say that, because this is if he's healthy, it's as sure as a pick as you can get.
Yes.
This kid has been successful his entire life. He's been a U.S. Army All-American, one of the top 20 players in the country, went to Florida State, was injured his freshman year, out for the season. Sophomore year comes back, plays one game, out for the season. Comes back again, out for the season, and then transfers to Alabama. Plays 1 year, is the Remington Award winner, right? As the best center, best guard, best center in the game. and leads them on past Michigan. This last year gets hurt in the national championship game, but leads them to a championship. So this man has played one healthy season in 4 to 5 years. I just want to let you guys know this. This is what you get. Now, when he's on, he's on. And this pick could mean so much for the entire team. So I understand why they avoided a clear need in a cornerback or a linebacker. Because can you imagine that a healthy Brooks, a healthy Kelsey, a healthy Dickerson, a rising star in Jordan Mailata, and then an anchor in Lane Johnson? Oh my goodness. If you like, listen, like I don't get, I don't get horny when I'm talking about football, but I got horny right there. Just think about it. You know what I mean? It's just happening. Like, but it's just saying, like,
no,
it's one of those things. It's that can be special if this kid can stay healthy, but we've had issues keeping our offensive linemen healthy. And I don't know if it's the training that we're doing. I don't know if it's the training staff. I don't know. But if some kind of way this year it can all align where these guys can stay healthy, that 5 can stay healthy in jail, man, you got a chance. Yes. You got a chance on offense. Now, I can't tell you what defense is going to do. I don't know, but you got a chance on offense.
You're right. No, that's great, man. And I agree 100%. It all comes down to, to staying healthy and you're 100% on the head with that. Our line, I don't know what's going on. Sometimes though in the NFL, it's weird, man. You just have years where injuries just happen.
Injuries happen. Mm-hmm.
And unexplainable. Like you will get a run on ACLs. You'll get like 4 or 5 ACLs in 1 year. Next year, you get like 4 or 5 Achilles. So hopefully next year is the year
that stay healthy.
Stays healthy and we're good, man. So I don't know. I like the pick. I think it can be huge, and it could also be a big issue in the future. So I don't know.
So I think this was the Eagles protecting themselves, right? Because there is all this week we've heard about Zach Ertz being traded. We've heard about Brandon Brooks being on the trade block. We know that Jason Kelce is contemplating retirement. So there's only one way to protect yourselves as an Eagle, as the Eagles organization. And barring, if there was no injuries, this kid is going to be picked in the top 15 picks. Maybe the top 10 picks if there's no Bob, because he's so sure. He is as sure as Nick Mangold for the Jets that he was going to come in and play and be a Pro Bowler from the beginning. Like, there's certain guys that are sure like that. He's one of those guys. If he's healthy, he's going to be a Pro Bowler.
I agree.
And he's nasty too, ladies and gentlemen. Like when I say he's nasty, he's nasty. I love that type of football where you don't when you leave the stadium, the guy want to meet you at the bus. Yeah. Right? Like that's my type of football. Like, okay, we don't have to be friends. There's no jersey exchanging, but when it's all said and done, your parents and your mom talking to me like, why you gotta do my son like that? Like that's the type of football I like.
Shoot, no doubt, man. I like it. So
go ahead.
Man, but like, I don't know.
The next
do we go to the next? Oh,
what do you go to the next pick? So here's the next pick. The next pick went viral.
My God!
The next pick went viral. Everyone saw this. Senior, manager,
Tom Donahue.
Yeah, Tom Donahue. How he was going around, with the fake hype, you know what I mean? Because that's all it is. Because there's business strategy all across this country when they bring in a guy that says, oh, the only way you can motivate your staff is if you're motivated and you're a high energy guy. So everyone wants the staff members to be high energy. So when you come in, it could be 5 o'clock in the morning and everyone's going to pretend hype and be like, hey, how you doing, John? How you doing? So here's Howie with his morning John inspiration. This is my guy. I love Howie. But, but you can tell that it's conjured. There are certain guys that are just hype and it's just high energy and it's who they are. and you can't take that away from them. They're like that all the time. Duke Riley was that for the Eagles last year. That's who he is. And we've all had players and teammates like that. The guy that I know about in college, his name was Chris Perry, the running back from Michigan. Chris Perry was the hype man. It was him all the time. It led us to a bunch of fights and bars and stuff, but he was the hype man, right? So you can tell when it's a little bit more, put on. So I don't know if Tom was perturbed at that, but it seemed like he was perturbed at the pick. So Tom Donahue got really, looked like he was frustrated with Howie and whoever picked Milton Williams. Cute. I'm rambling. You talk about it.
Yeah, it was awkward, and like I said, it was one of those moments where I just you could feel it through the screen, like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? And I instantly wanted to know what was going on. So, lately we're starting to hear leaks about what happened, and we were sitting there at 70, I believe, and moved down, got an extra 6th round and moved down 3 spots to 73, and ended up losing out on the opportunity to get Aaron Robinson and Alan McNeil, right? And Asante
McNeil, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And McNeil, and ended up picking Milton Williams out of La Tech. And it's just, it's unfortunate because I think the Eagles up until that point, I like their draft up until that point. And I think that right there, it put a little bit of worry in everyone's heart. Like, okay, everybody's like, okay, here we go again. We're getting off the board. And so I think that the rest of the draft, I think that they fixed the situation. And I think the rest of the draft was really good. This pick, now I want to say this. This is nothing against Milton Williams. Like, he didn't pick himself.
Okay.
He did everything he had to do. It's nothing against him. But now from now on, the rest of his career, he's going to be known as the guy that somebody else wanted. I didn't want to say that. But I feel, what I mean? Like, I feel bad because, like, now, and how Philly is, like, that moment right there is going to be tied to him forever. And so,
unless he balls,
use that as motivation. Like, listen, that y'all think that they didn't want me here. I'm gonna show you. Like, this is it. This is my time. So, now let's look at the pick. It kind of, to me, it depends. Like, I like McNeil out of NC State, and I looked at Milton Williams as well. I like him as well. He's a little bit more of a project, but my thing is, so how he came out in his own words, he said there were two guys that we liked at 70. And so to move back 3 spots to gain another pick, okay, I understand that part. But I don't believe that you might have 2 guys that you liked at 70, but you had one guy that you liked more than the other at 70, right? So why take the chance to move? And then I think this is what it all boils down to with Donahue. It's like, why take the chance? Like, you have 2 guys you like. You might maybe Howie like Milton Williams more, maybe not. I don't know. We'll never know that. But if you have 2 guys that you like and you like one more than the other, why take the chance to move back and lose one? So, like, what would happen if you move back and if, let's say, you did like Milton Williams and you move back and then Detroit takes him instead of the guy you wanted? So I don't know. I just think sometimes sometimes you don't need to play the game. This was a situation where you didn't necessarily have to play the game, and I understand both sides of it. You want to gain at your pick, but if in fact McNeil was the guy and you lost out on him, it could be a huge play. And I personally like McNeil better. I think he's a more powerful athlete. I think he's a good pass rusher. I think he's a good one technique. I think he can pass rush. He can move out to the 3 if need be. And I think he's a guy with his size and then power and speed and agility and athleticism that he can take a little bit of pressure off Fletch. Fletch, and we talked about it earlier, is getting double teamed like almost every play. And so you got a guy like Milton, and I think he's a little bit of a project. I think he's 278, 278,
280.
Is he a 3 technique? Is he an end? where are you going to put him? So, I just think that it was it's unnecessary to move back and potentially lose out on a player that you really wanted.
It's one of those, it felt like this. This is what that felt like to me in that moment in time. It felt like you being like the leader, and you ask your wife what she wants, and she tells you what she wants, and you override her after she told you what she wants. That's what it seemed like to me.
Nail on the head, right?
There. There's gonna be some furniture movers. Like, hey, listen, if you weren't gonna really consider what I was telling you, why even ask me? And that's I feel you down here. I feel you in the moment. Like, I feel you. And every woman that's watching the show is like, hey man, I know that feeling, right? And we know that as staff members, like someone asks you for advice, and they don't have any plans on listening to your advice at all. It's like, why are you even talking to me? You're gonna do what you want to do anyway. And so that's what it felt in that moment. Now, regarding the player Milton Spencer, for you guys that may not have gotten a chance to watch his tape, out of Louisiana Tech, he's around 6'3", 275, 280. The most I've seen him weigh coming in is 285. And just know, when you hear weights from guys, like, this is what scares me. This is scary because usually the highest number for big guys is the number that they put in the the program. Yep. So when you're a big D tackle, they want you heavier so you can appear more opposing, right? So they want you heavy. So they want you to be 300 pounds. So the most he weighs is 285. That means that he plays at 275.
Yep.
And for you to hear Devontae Smith say he's 166, that means he's playing at about 159.
Yep.
So I want you guys to just to wrap this around your head. And with Milton Williams, what he is to me is, you call him a project. He's the classic undersized nose guy that's very, very quick and explosive. And he's a project, like you said. He got his claim to fame by running a fast 40 time, running a 4.640 at 285. Now, look, 40 times will get you drafted, but that's not the end all be all. He's explosive, but he has very, very small or short wingspan.
Yes.
He had small arms, right? Little or short arms. And usually that doesn't bode well for interior defenders. You need longer arms so you can extend and get into the offensive lineman. If that offensive lineman can touch you before, and stop and slow you down before you get your power together, it's very, very hard in this league. So they may have a plan for him. I don't necessarily know the plan. Like I said, the needs that we had in this draft was cornerback and linebacker. I would have preferred the Eagles to spend those picks on trying to get one guy. Now, we got a guy later in the draft, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't have had another guy because our chances of getting guys outside to play well, we're talking Curtis Marsh, we're talking Sidney Jones, we're talking Eric Rowe, we're talking Rasul Douglas. These are the guys that we've chosen when it comes to cornerback later in the draft. So I'm not depending on my late round draft picks and my history. I'm depending on the top, 3 pick. And I would just probably chose that pick to be a cornerback.
Yeah. I agree. And there's nothing, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. I think there was plenty of good secondary picks there. But I do think also, I think a lot of the late round picks, I think they're going to surprise.
Okay.
To me personally, I think I like Patrick Johnson, I like Jacoby Stevens, I like Teron Jackson and Marlon Tuipulotu.
Yeah, the USC, yeah.
So and I like Zach McPherson. He's out at Texas Tech. So the reason why I like these guys is when I put on the tape and I watched all those guys, it was just like raw football. Like all you saw was guys just getting to the football, running and hitting. Not a whole lot of technique and scheme stuff, especially like at LSU. LSU, they line up and play on defense. They line up and play. Yeah. USC, their D line, they just line up and hit it and get it. So a lot of raw talent, a lot of athletic talent. And based on what I'm thinking, I'm seeing from the additions and from what we were trying to piece together with Gannon, I'm thinking it's going to be, a cover two type of defense where guys are dropping into their coverages and they're just running and hitting. And that's exactly what, in my opinion, we need. We need to get back to running and hitting, disguising, blitzing, and just playing regular football, not necessarily sitting back on our heels. I'm talking defensive wise, sitting back on our heels and getting hit in the face. We need guys moving forward. We got D linemen moving forward. We got linebackers moving forward, So I'm hoping that these picks, and I know they're late round picks, and I know that you can't necessarily count on them to even make the team, let alone become starters. But
because so many picks, it's going to be a lot of guys fighting for jobs. When you got three 6-round picks, it's hard to make the team. But go ahead.
But that's good though, right? That's competition. That breeds competition. Like that's what this team needs is, and we've talked about it before, you get to a point where you get a little bit safe and comfy in your spot, and you bringing in some young, hungry guys that want to make the team. They're going to do whatever it takes. It's a new coaching staff, young coaching staff. Let's see if they can get out there and
do it.
They got what it takes. So I'm actually not if I look at the entire draft picture total, like completely, I actually thought it was a pretty good draft. There's the Milton Williams situation and the Landon Dickerson situation where you go, I'm not sure, but I liked it. I think it was a pretty solid draft personally.
Yeah, I give the Eagles a B+ with the draft. I really do. I think landing Devontae Smith is the crown jewel, and I think that you got yourself a Pro Bowl player in the second round. And I don't necessarily know how Milton Williams is going to do. Hopefully he does well. I just know that usually undersized guy, unless those guys, especially when you have to go to D tackle. So when he was in a 3-4, so he can flex out a little bit because he didn't have to play over the center. He could flex out a little bit and get close to the edge in college. That's what he did in college. Yeah. So now he's going to be in a 4-3. So you only can be a D tackle, and it's bodies in there. And the undersized guys usually don't fare well. Right. So I don't know about that pick, but everyone else, like when you start getting into that 6th round, when you start getting into the Jacoby Stevens, you start getting into the Patrick Johnsons, and what's the running back, losing his name, Gainwell. Yeah. You start getting into those guys. Now he's a dual threat type of running back. He's not like a home run hitter to me, but he can do a lot of things. He can catch the ball better than Miles can. He can do, like Miles is good at catching, but he can catch the ball a little bit better than Miles. But he's a dual threat running back, and I can see how he can add a role and help Miles in that way. Now, when you start getting into those later round guys, and you start to look at, for me, I start to look at the schools. Mm-hmm. Now, when you get in later round guys and you get a guy in the 7th round or the 6th round, like Jacoby Stevens out of LSU, you know this one thing, that the kid knows how to play football. Yeah. The only thing that he's lacking is measurables. When you play and you start at LSU, you can play the game of football. You don't get on the field unless you can play the game of football. You get drafted that late, it's because you don't run fast. Yeah. You get drafted that late, it's because you don't turn and run well. You're stiff, something like that. So automatically that lets me know that he has the ability to at least serve a purpose and a role. So a guy like him usually ends up making the team. Yes. Because there's a role for him on special teams. There's a role for him at the PP. There's a role for him. That's the person protector on punt. That's like one of the most important positions in football, ladies and gentlemen. We never talk about it, but that play is the most. I was taught that punt was the most important play in football. It's where the most yards are exchanged, yes. and that's very, very important for our team. And we've had like some all-time great personal protectors in the history of National Football League. Yours truly right here, Quentin Michaels, is one of the best in history. We had Colt Anderson as a personal protector. We had Brian Dawkins as a personal protector. Like, it starts out, if this kid is going down on special teams and making all the plays, you know that he's going to be a player. Because all of us start like that at some point.
No doubt, man. Shoot, Malcolm too, right? Malcolm was a PP. Were you a PP?
Malcolm, I was the worst PP, but you know, I was a wing.
That's right. Yeah. I thought you did a little bit of time in there in the trenches.
I could pick up if you need a third, fourth string, but I ain't running down. I'll make sure the punt's not blocked, but I ain't running around tackling nobody.
So yeah, I want to add one more thing to that thought on the last two picks with Jacoby Stevens. So especially him, he played. He was listed as a safety, but I think he's
in the box.
I think he's going to be in the box. I think they might try to put weight on him and put him in linebacker. Like he's a big boy. You seen him? I think they might try to put weight on him and put him in linebacker. I think Patrick Johnson, he might put him in linebacker. They could be special teams guys for a couple of years and maybe eventually work their way up. So
listen to me.
I believe in everybody.
You never know with Patrick Johnson. You never know with Stevens because who's our linebackers? Name our linebackers here. Right? So exactly.
Singleton.
Yeah, Singleton. Yeah, you start.
We brought in from the Vikings.
From the Vikings, exactly. There you go. Like, so we don't have big name, linebackers. We got Davion Taylor. We got Singleton. We got, the new guy from the Vikings. I can't remember his name either now.
Eric. That's what I was thinking. Eric. Blanking right now.
Look at me. See, look, and you know how bad this is, ladies and gentlemen. I was on the Eagles staff last year, right? And so it's bad. So with that being said, everyone will have an opportunity back there. So you never know. The Eagles could convert a guy. Now,
Eric Wilson.
Eric Wilson. Yeah. Let's talk about this, and we're going to close up soon. Let's talk about how these players are going to fit in the scheme. And we got to go back to the beginning because everyone wants to know about the first two picks.
Yes.
How's Devontae Smith going to fit in this scheme? Now, I have to be honest with you. If I knew exactly what type of scheme we were going to run, I got an idea. Yeah. And from what I'm told and from, my inside intel, I still check in, is that this is a very receiver-friendly offense. Everyone thinks the West Coast offense is friendly toward receivers. It really is not. The West Coast is friendly for the quarterback. It was made for the quarterback, get the ball out of the hand. It was friendly for the linemen to make sure that they can, not protect for a long time. But the receivers need to be in their spots on time. If you don't, something bad was going to happen to the quarterback, i.e. a sack, 50 of those last year. Or if the receiver is not open, there's not a bunch of adjustments and things of that nature. And it's all contingent upon how good the quarterback is. Coach Reed has adapted it to the point where you can't even recognize that it's a West Coast offense because it's the quarterback that he has.
Yeah.
From what I'm told, Sirianni is going to allow the receivers to have adjustments within their routes, and he's going to hold the quarterback responsible for timing. That's what I'm told. And it'll be the first time that I've ever seen this, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm hoping that it's true. And if that's the case, Devontae Smith's going to be a player. And we can see him being used somewhat like T.Y. Hilton, which was very undersized.
Yeah.
Was fast. And therefore, I think Sirianni was trying to replicate a T.Y. Now,
okay,
here's the problem with it. That's the good of it. If he's small and slight and he has problems, because the guys in the NFL don't go for every move. You're going to have a guy that, they know you're fast, but they can run too. And they're just going to sit there and look at you. And they're going to make you play physical. If he can't adapt in NFL to the jam and to the bigger corner and to being roughhoused and maneuver, now you have to put him in motion.
Yeah.
Problem. Jalen Reagor had issues releasing last year. You can't put two people in motion. So therefore, you start to realize that there could be a problem because now you got Quez Watkins, which is all of 170 pounds, 80 pounds now. He came in at 170. Now he's 180. You got John Hightower, who is all of 180 pounds now. You got Devontae Smith, who's 166. You got Jalen Reagor, which is about 190. You got a lot of small guys and a lot of guys that are under, well, your two main guys that are basically right at 6 feet tall. Jalen Reagor's under that. So you got a bunch of guys that are similar. I think that it can work because you have speed. Everyone adopted the Kansas City Chiefs model, and everybody on that team can roll with the exception of Travis Fulgham. And Travis can run too. He's 4'5".
Yeah.
But those dudes 4'3", 4'4", easy, So I'm looking to see how they're going to use him, but I'm assuming that he's going to be T.Y. Hilton.
Okay. But see, the thing that worries about me with T.Y. with the Devontae is T.Y. He does catch a lot of underneath balls. He does catch a lot of screens. He does catch a lot of in-breaking routes. He does catch a lot of underneath routes, and he knows first of all, he had Andrew Luck, and then, for the good part of his career, one of the best quarterbacks to come out. He didn't finish his career, but he had a great quarterback. Put the ball on the money, and a system that allowed him not to take so many hits. So hopefully the system does work that way, but hopefully Devontae, if that's true, if they're trying to make it that type of system, that he studies a lot of tape of T.Y. and understands, like, listen, there's some times where I'm gonna have to
get down,
get that ball and get down, and there's some times where I might get hit, but I got to be able to get up. I got to have the toughness to get up, and there's a difference than being tough and being injured. So hopefully, I don't want to put that on anybody. I'm not putting that on him. I shouldn't have even said it that way, but just understand, like, study the tape of the guys that
are smaller,
that know how to get in certain areas, know how to get in open areas, know how to get underneath routes. If you feel so you about to get hit, get down. Like you said, get down. Yeah. Don't be a tough guy. So I don't know.
So, go ahead.
No, I feel good when you tell me that they're trying to build the offense like a T.Y. Hilton type offense, because he's a phenomenal player. He's still a phenomenal player.
Yeah.
It's gonna be difficult early.
Well, this like Devontae Smith is, he has the ability to do pretty much everything. He says that he likes to pattern his game after Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen, which I don't see the parallel at all, but that's who he studies. And I would say I was that type of player as far as maneuvering and trying to make people look bad and those things. That's what I did. I had to do that because I couldn't run fast. When you're as fast as he is, and those guys have something that he does not have, right? When you're trying all of those moves and you're trying to wiggle and get open, if it doesn't work out, you can rely on your power, because those guys are, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and they're strong. So if something, and that's what I could do. I was always stronger than the DB. So if nothing else, if all else failed, my move didn't work, I can just power through him. He doesn't have that luxury. Yeah. If he's doing all of those moves and the guy doesn't go for a move, the only thing he has left is speed. And by that time, the guy is in close proximity. If your move doesn't work, a guy has hands on you. And can he recover from that? Now, the thing that I love about T.Y. Hilton, if he's used like T.Y. Hilton in his offense, is that, yes, he's slight. Devontae's slight and T.Y.'s slight. They didn't shy away. When you pick a guy at 10, I hear what you're saying, Q, but he got to be able to run slants.
Yeah.
You got to be able to run daggers.
You're right.
You got to, and that's for you guys that don't know what a dagger is an 18 to 20 yard in route, which is the hardest route to catch in the National Football League, because you see the most. You see the linebackers, you see the safety running at you, the quarterback in the angle, like he doesn't realize that you're coming toward him, so he's throwing the ball a million miles an hour. Like, those are the routes that makes T.Y. special. And then he gets into his post, he gets into his go, he gets in his deep crosses and his crossing routes. But the two routes that make T.Y. special is the dig route and his ability to get open on slants. And that's what makes all receivers special. If you can win on intermediate in breaking routes as a receiver, you're going to have a long career. And the thing I love about DeVonta Smith, he makes contested catches, even for a small guy.
Yeah.
So him being a perfectionist and coming back to the football and not taking those hits, that's the key to it. Always reduce, come back to the football so you don't get those hits. And if he does that, he'll be fine. I would love the day where Eagles receiver can just line up at receiver with no motion, no window dressing, and just line up and beat somebody on a slant on third down, because that's what the game always comes down to. It comes down to one or two routes, and it comes down to no motion, and can you beat a guy without trickery?
So let me ask you this then. So let's say you're DeVonta, and you're coming into this your first year. Give me the top maybe 2 or 3 things that you would be working on. Like if you were DeVonta, I come into camp, what is the main thing that I'm working on?
The first thing I want to see if I'm DeVonta is if my releases translate. That's the first thing, and that's the most important thing that he needs to recognize. Okay, I have my 3 releases. Every receiver needs at least 3 releases. You need a go-to release, a counter off that, and then a change up, right? The good ones, I have 4 or 5 releases. You never go, you go to your bread and butters when the game's on the line. And the way you get to those things, you can get to it with the opposite foot up, different things of that nature to make it look different, stutter into it, make it look different, but it's the same moves. So he needs to figure out day one in camp, as soon as they can press you, not day one, but when they start pressing guys, work his releases to see if he needs to adjust. If they work, cool. But the chances are that they're not going to work is very, very high. Because I remember Sheldon Brown tearing me a new one for a month before I literally had to sit down, watch what he was doing to me, and come up with the move for him. And coming up with that move for him was my move that I used for the rest of my career. Mm-hmm. And the faster you can figure that out, because receivers get paid off a few things. Catching the ball, but you can't catch the ball if you're stuck on the line of scrimmage and getting open versus press man. And so your release game is everything. Remember, I told you this dude, as we know, he's 166 pounds. Q. The more space I can create off the line of scrimmage for myself, DeVonta Smith's got a higher chance of winning, because I want him to use that building speed to put people in the panic mode. And now, being 160 pounds, I should be able to stop better than everybody. I should be quicker than everybody. So now, but I have to be able to get going. So his releases, finding out his 3 in the NFL, your 3 in the NFL is going to be different from your 3 in college. And tell Slay, give me a different look, work with me. Yeah. That's what I would love. Him to pick Slay out. Hey, Slay, come go at me every time.
Yeah.
Jam me. Be Patrick Peterson. Be Jalen Ramsey. You've seen them play. You know the technique. Whatever. Do it. That's what I want.
That's dope.
So
I like that.
Yeah. So that's what I would be doing. But the thing is, he comes from good stock. So everything that I'm telling you is the chances of his stuff working in the NFL. His go-to is probably going to work. His second and third, probably not going to work, because you've been going against Patrick Surtain every day. So he has some stuff that will work. He has to figure out how to make it work in the NFL. One of mine was, I used to have this big release move, and it would work in college, and everybody would go for it. And the pros, they wouldn't go for it. But I found out if I take a step either sideways or I go one step forward before I do it, it worked. But it took me get jammed up a lot to do it. Yeah. So find that out would be the best thing. What about you on your end for defensive backs, and for the guy that we didn't talk about was Zech McPhearson, because we skipped right over him, the cornerback that they did draft out of Texas Tech. For a guy like Zech McPhearson, who is a 4.5 guy, who you know what, he's you know what he is to me? He's He's Byron Jones to me, not as big. You know Byron Jones for the Cowboys?
From the Cowboys, yeah.
The reason I say that is because he's one of those guys that he's a like low 4.5 guy, but he jumps like a 40-inch vertical. And he broad jumps almost 11 feet. So you know this dude is super explosive. And usually guys like that, even though they don't run a 4.4 40, usually makes it up in explosiveness, and usually they can transition out of breaks. Sante Samuel is a 4.5 guy.
Yes.
Sante Samuel is also a 3.7 shuttle guy. McPherson's not that. He's a 4 flat. But usually when guys are that wiry, that explosive, that's usually a good sign for his, ability. Aqib Talib is like that. Brent Grimes was like that. Guys that don't run extremely fast 40s, but play a long time. Brent Grimes run a 4.6 40 right from Philly. Right from Philly. But figured out a way to do it because he was so explosive. It can break on stuff. And so I actually love that pick. And we skipped over it. But Zech McPherson out of Texas Tech, ladies and gentlemen, watch out. He may mess around and be the starting corner. Like I'm serious. He may mess around and be the starting corner, even though he's built to be a nickel. To me, he's built to be a nickel at 5'11". And with his type of explosion, usually that's a nickel. But in our system and with the lack of second corner, he will mess around and be a starter for us.
No, that's legit. That's a very, very possible outcome. And I love that pick by Howie, by the way. Sorry, you go ahead. I like the pick. I just the things that and it doesn't really. This isn't all on him, but I just know Texas Tech gave up a whole lot of points.
They suck. I mean,
I get nervous. Like they gave up one game I think it was like 70 to 60. Like it was, So I get a little nervous about that.
Come on, man! So. Stop messing with me, man. Jose Leo Hansen is listening to this somewhere right now from Texas Tech.
Jose was real, but he was giving up points too. They just don't play defense out there.
Jose, he was giving them nervous. Yes, they teach you how to tackle, and they teach you the importance of defense when you get to the National Football League. At Texas Tech, they like, man, we don't care about defense.
Just outscore them.
Outscore them. You just out here just
let them score so we get the ball back and try to score again.
Just don't let them score too fast so we can get the rest.
but no, man. So you're spot on with everything. Funny thing. One of my good friends actually coached him. Not gonna say where, but actually coached him. And I asked about him. Said he's a tremendous player, tremendous kid. The one thing that he worries about a little bit is his confidence. Like if he has a bad play here and there, just keeping his confidence up. And that, and
you would think that playing at Texas Tech, giving up 75 points a game, you would be you worked on your confidence because you need confidence to linebacker. Like you would think that, right? Like you should be Jalen Mills confident right there. Cause
for real. So, and again, like, but see, and to me, like, and it goes back to the point that you made with Devontae is, as a young guy, and I will say the same thing as a young guy coming in, the way you build the confidence is you work at your craft. The way you stay late, you stay out there after practice, you work with the best receivers, you compete against the best receivers, because in practice, that's where you build that confidence. That's where you build your technique. That's where you find out what works and what doesn't work. So I would say the same thing for McPherson that you said to Devontae. Like, I want to go against the best receivers. I want to stay late. I'm going to work on my hands and work on my feet. I'm going to stay square. I'm going to stay in front of you. If you beat me, I'm lining back up. Beat me again. Right? Like that's the mentality that you have to have. And really, as we said before, in this game, it's this much different. Like 4-3 is rolling. Right?
Yeah.
But a 4-3 ain't nothing if you got a 4-5 guy in front of you that knows what he's doing or can slow you down enough. Yeah. And so
he making you play the 4-5.
Exactly. That 40-yard dash is great and everything. That gets you into the league. Once you get into the league, the people that stay are, like you said, the people that work on their craft, the people that trust in their technique, the people that will come back next play and make you work hard again. And so that's why you see guys like Brent Grimes, like you said, like you mentioned earlier, that play for so long, that don't have the measurables. They figure out a way.
They figure it out.
And the guys that don't last are the ones that don't. So I think, coupled with, if he has the right mentality, if he gets that confidence, if he gets over that part of it where he continues to build that confidence and he continues to allow himself to make mistakes and grow from that with the coaching staff supporting him and then receiving core working him, I think he's going to be a tremendous player. And I agree with you. He does. There's something about him now, like, don't know what it is yet. I just feel like he's going to be a nice little pick. We just got to, Philly fans, if let's support him, man. Let's go, man. Like, we in this together, Philly fans. If he has a couple bad plays, let's not go out there and try to kill him. All right.
See,
takes a little bit, man.
That sounded personal. That sounded a little personal to me. I don't know what you're talking about, but
I'm pulling for man. Secondary, let's go.
Yeah, there you go. So and there's the contingent of people that would say, well, he's a pro now, so he got to toughen up. Listen, have you ever talked to a teenager in 2021? Listen, I run a business, Launch Trampoline Park, all teenagers. It ain't too many people. It ain't too many teenagers that's super, tough or super, thick skin. World, man. It's just a different world. So, you and your Chuck Bednarik and Ronnie Lott that cut off his finger and all of that stuff, you bet that's old and done. Jack Tatum, that's done. So if you're thinking about that stuff, Brian Dawkins, he ain't coming back through the door. You're gonna be looking at dudes with green hair out there running around. That's what we got, and giving away jerseys like it's free. That's what we got. Shaking hands and smacking people on the butt, saying good job. That's the nature of it, and smile for the gram later. That's the nature of the kid. And if you correct, and I was with the Eagles last year, if you correct the kid, they think you hate them. That's generation crazy of kids that we're listening to, that we have. So our fans are tough and they're gonna make them better. Do I think that we can, be a little bit more understanding of the times in our city? A little bit, yeah. But it's helping them in life. So who's to say? Even if they don't make it as a Philadelphia Eagle football player, maybe they'll make it as a businessman because the fans booed them down the street. Amen to it.
Hey, shoot.
Tomato.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about Landon Dickerson and all the other picks next week, ladies and gentlemen. Q, you have anything else to say before I close up?
No, man, I'm good. We hit everything. It's been a great time, man, and I'm excited. Overall, like I said before, man, I'm pretty pleased with the draft, and the main thing is we got some guys that I feel like are hungry, and I think the coaching staff, at least defensive wise, I think the coaching staff has the plan of, let's get aggressive, let's get after it, let's cut it loose and play some ball. So I'm excited for it. Just can't wait to see what we got on the field, man.
Yeah, we looking forward to it. Everybody look good in shorts, ladies and gentlemen. So don't get too hype over the OTAs and the training off season. We won't know anything until about the second week in training camp, maybe the third week with the way they're going into the NFLPA. We don't know. As soon as we start to see them go against each other in live drills where they can hit each other and or jam each other and stuff like that, thud and tackle the football, that's when you begin to see and separate the good from the bad, the people that are supposed to be there and who don't supposed to be there. And we are looking forward to covering the Eagles all throughout the summer. And we'll be right back here next week with more topics, more fresh fire for you guys. This is the Q&A show. I'm Jason Avant. That's Quentin Michael. Make sure you check us out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. This show will drop tomorrow at 6 a.m. on Inside the Birds platform on the YouTube channel, and also Amazon Music and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that jazz. Peace out. Good night, Q. And let's hope that Donahue is wrong and that Milton is right and that Howie was right.
That's right. That's it. Let's go.
All right.